Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Like, I don't think, like, when Cassie hopped on, I saw my hair. I was like, I should not operate heavy equipment today. My brain is still not firing like it should. Happy Valentine's Day, Cassie Brown.
Happy Valentine's Day.
So, do you do anything special on Valentine's Day?
No, Adam, well, we do for the kids. Um, but it wasn't on Valentine's Day. He bought the girls flowers a couple days ago, because he is adamant about not falling into a commercialized holiday. So that's his cards. But we like to surprise, the kids with chocolates and gifts and things like that throughout the year. And then, we recognize them on Valentine's Day for sure, and we don't let it go. But as far as like romantically as a couple or anything like that, no. We It sounds so cliche, but there's certain things in life that every day is a gift, every day is a celebration, every day is, I love you and making absolutely the most of it. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got going on. So, but yeah, the girls have had roses and I have roses for the last couple of days, and they've really enjoyed watching them bloom.
So I think Adam is he's a guy after my own heart because we are so I again, you're gonna hear this throughout Go Girl Chat. I am the female version of Adam. And ironically enough, I am, and I know, Cassie, this is going to shock you. I am not an ooey gooey romantic,
I had no idea.
but I am going to tell you something that will shock you. So I'm not ooey gooey romantic. And Daniel proposed to me on Valentine's Day,
Oh,
but it wasn't planned. We actually, so I was in graduate school and he was in Florida working, and we would meet halfway, and we were getting ready to leave from the weekend. And I had at the time, so I have upgraded to visors. I used to wear bandanas. I know bandanas and like short hair. How does that even work? I don't know, but I did it. So I was wearing a bandana, sweatpants, and I don't even know. I knew I was wearing sweatpants. I can't remember what I was wearing on top, probably a sweatshirt. And he asked me, he said this. He said, will we always work things out? Will we always have discussions? Like, I remember that question. And I said, yeah, of course we will. And then he said, will you marry me? And I was like, what'd you say? I had him ask me like 3 times. He didn't even have a ring at the time. So it was totally unplanned. Right. And so, yeah. So a couple of years ago, he asked me to marry him on Valentine's Day. And this year's Valentine's Day present, so I've been gone for a little while. I came in. Oh, Cassie. Um, God love our men. Just God love our men. Let me just say that because I walked into the house. He's like, I know it's messy. And you never want to hear, I know it's messy from a man's perspective. So I walked in, I didn't really even care. And then I walked downstairs. And for Valentine's Day, so we have, and everybody, most people, like if you have a basement, you have under storage underneath your stairs. Well, it looked like a hoarder. And he couldn't even believe all of the stuff. Well, he pulled everything out because I've wanted shelves for the stairs. And everything is out downstairs in my living room. And he's building me shelves for Valentine's Day.
oh.
And so I couldn't even sit downstairs last night. It was just, I was overwhelmed just to be home. I was overwhelmed walking in the house, and then downstairs. I was like, I love you. I'm going to bed. But isn't it funny how you said we don't really do stuff, but we always do stuff for the kids?
Yeah.
Like, like I have like at their breakfast plate, I've always done Valentine's Day for the kids.
Hmm.
So fun, 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 fun. Uh, And we hope your Valentine's Day is what it needs to be today, uh,
Yes.
for you and however you celebrate. So, I thought that we would do. I don't want to say this is necessarily a fun topic, but I would say it's a topic that if you've been in business, you have probably encountered this. And so the way that we're going to flip it is we're going to talk about 3 ways to handle a difficult client. See how I did that on Valentine's Day? All right.
Yeah, like all of the love, but when you're not showing me love, here's how I'm going to protect myself with boundaries, possibly kill you with kindness, and then also make rules for myself moving forward
Yeah.
to protect us and our team. And, it is a fun topic, honestly, because when, you gave me a sneak peek, and I think everybody has had that difficult client, that difficult person, that conversation that just like literally sucked the air out of you and all of your energy. And it's one of those things where it's like, we learn through experiences. And so I think it's one, if you haven't had a difficult situation yet in life or in business, God bless you. Holy smokes. Tell me all of your secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm pretty easy to get along with. I'm very adaptable. And we're pretty rigorous about who we work with. And, there's some things where there's some projects where you thought you knew somebody, and then you get in there and you're like, Twilight Zone.
Yeah, so let me pick up. There are a couple of things that you just said. We're rigorous in the way that we work with people, meaning all of our clients, our one-on-one private clients, they all start with an assessment. And that helps clarity on the client's part, but it also helps clarity and making sure when we say like a particular word or we define a task that we're all on the same page. And that way, when we go to work with the client, they know exactly what to expect. And I think what's interesting too in that, what you just said, Cassie, is a lot of times in difficult clients that we've had, we have even said, oh my gosh, they are our dream client. There's this honeymoon phase, even though they checked all the boxes, that when we start the work, and maybe it's not even at the very beginning when we start the work, like things start to reveal themselves. And so a big part of working with a difficult client is mindset. And I'm going to pull you in on this one, Cassie, because mindset, you are all over it.
Yeah. It's it's easy like to have emotional triggers and to take things very personal. I am of the school of thought where, I heard it's nothing personal, it's just business growing up, and it made me want to throw up. So it is very personal to me. It's a reflection of my character. And everything that we do is in integrity and in excellence. That's not to say that we're perfect human beings. So I always look at it as how can I get back to neutral? How can I not let emotional triggers cloud the communication that my client's trying to have with us or that we're trying to have with our clients? So, the first rule I guess I have with myself is do not respond emotionally or get back to neutral and really look at this as an opportunity. Was there something I always put it through the filter of ownership first? Was there something I miscommunicated? Was there something that maybe I wasn't clear about? Did I need to ask for more clarity from the client? I always look at it as an opportunity for improvement. But this is a really dangerous area too, because Rhonda and I have even done this to ourselves. You can be introspective so much, you start to gaslight yourself. And so it's interesting though that this is the topic because this morning I was thinking about an opportunity for an in-person summit that we're facilitating, that we're in the midst of negotiating and putting together. And one of the themes is communication. And so I was kind of thinking of some exercises that we could do with communication is, what is your intended communication? What is your client's language that they hear? Everyone has a certain language that they communicate in and how they hear best. And then where's those dangerous edges? Right. And so it's crazy that we're talking about this on the podcast. And I was kind of mapping that out for one of the workshops that we're going to be doing for communication. But on the edges of that, on both sides of the edges, it's ignorant bliss, right? Where I didn't know, I didn't know, I didn't know. Okay, well, you still have responsibility for not asking clarifying or detailed questions, right? And then to the extreme is gaslighting, to the point where you're literally digging, either you're doing it to yourself or you're allowing the client to do it to you with over communicating details and information and just intentionally confusing everybody. So yeah, there's our little mindset recipe there.
Well, and I think so one way that we implement, and I'm going to highly, if you don't already have this, like let this be the one thing you get done this week, is the How I Work document. And the How I Work document lets your client know really what your business philosophy is. It also, the beautiful thing about the How I Work document is that it anticipates all of the questions that your client would be asking throughout the process of working with you. And I'm going to just do a little plug here, Cassie. It's one of the templates we have in Planner Template Club. Um, and it is something that when we share it with our clients, they're like, oh, I love this. And if there's ever a question, it's not coming back to ask us. It's literally everything is documented inside of How We Work. And it's pretty. So Cassie's put her design spin on it. But I think that when I look at the difficult client and mindset and making sure we fill in all the blanks, for us, it was specifically about a year ago. And I didn't even know like gaslighting, like I knew what that meant, but to experience it again, you feel like you are taking crazy pills. It is like that is not reality in what they're saying. And I really, friends, I really, like, I want to hug you, and I'm not a hugger, but I want you to be able to identify that you are not crazy. You, I don't even know, like, I want to just talk about gaslighting a little bit here, because typically with difficult clients, and I think even as women, we feel like it's our fault and we haven't done something right. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, for us, it's, um, I, I am 100% benefit of the doubt. I want to be as generous with grace as grace is shared with me. So, I look again for areas of improvement, and I am, Rhonda's very meticulous when it comes to step by step. I am very meticulous with words and intention and clarity. So, for both of us to be on the other side and have, clarifying conversations with our notes and comparisons, and we record the client meetings and things like that, for us to kind of look back and be like, no, 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 that's what they said, that's what they asked for, that's the timeline we communicated. But it just I think this is where scope creep enters in. This is where unspoken expectations start, manifesting. And it's one of those things where it's like you realize we may just be speaking two completely different languages, because what you asked for and what we're contracted for and what we've delivered and what you've expanded is completely outside of the scope of the original project. So I think it's, when it comes to gaslighting, I think I don't know if there's a formula, but the formula seems to be um, shifting details, small little things that you in the moment think maybe you had missed, so you agree, and then you go back and realize, no, we were really clear. So I think it is, in many ways comparable to the quote by death by a thousand cuts, where it's just small little things that go under the radar that you don't notice until you literally, like Rhonda said, think you're in crazy town and you can't take it anymore. And honestly, there was one particular situation. I think we both came out on the other side pretty traumatized, where it's like,
Yeah. Well, it's not just us that's traumatized, it's the team
yeah.
that's also traumatized. And I want to be careful about throwing around the word team. Um, I think that that is something that I've hit success if I have a team. You can like be a solopreneur and just be so buttoned up and amazing that you've got it under control, and yay you. You can also have a handful of people, maybe one, two, that work with you, and yay you, and can delegate, and where you stay more in your zone of genius. But I feel like that situation, it does trickle in, and it's something that like you literally have to put a stop to it.
Mm-hmm.
You, what I feel, this is obviously an experience we had because we are really kind of getting into details here.
Yeah.
We were bullied, and we would get off calls and I would be like, Cassie, that's not what we said we would do. But and I'll be honest, I mean, we continued to let it happen until the very, very end. And so I'm going to go back to three ways we've handled. The first one is the how I work document. Another way that we handle this, and Cassie alluded to it here, is a call summary. So not only do they get access to the calls, and we let them know they're going to get access to the recorded calls for 12 months, they also get access. We work with folks inside of a Slack channel, and there's always that weekly recap. And so what we do is we list in there what we've done, and then we talk about needs, if they need to deliver something, or the specific steps that we are going to do. I can't tell you how that it's just reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like structure or not, knowing what's coming is very comforting. And it also leads to your credibility and your expertise, that it's not like we're flying by the seat of our pants. We've done this a time or two. And so to go back to that, this is what we say we're going to do, this is what we need from you, helps you with gaslighting, helps you with the bullying, helps you with the scope creep that is there. And then I guess, do you have anything that you want to say about that, Cassie?
No, I will say it's given us structure. And, outside looking in, no matter what kind of business that you're in, it's given us structure to clearly communicate expectations and next steps. So in the recap, if we're waiting on something from the client, it is also clearly communicated, we need it by X date, time, so that it can be turned around or we can get feedback. Like there are those little details in there, because most projects have a tendency to get behind. That's just human nature. Life's and knocks you sideways sometimes. We've had some projects where there's been sicknesses, there's been deaths, there's been other things come up in the business, and it's totally understandable. But when you keep that structure of communication and being able to adjust the timeline, it doesn't become a condensed timeline. It's something that, in many ways we've prepared the client for. This is the traditional timeline. If things are not hit on certain deadlines, then that it is going to affect the project completion. So I think it's just clearly knowing what those turnaround and buffer and feedback times are too, and being really, really, really clear. Like if you talk to somebody on Monday, Tuesday, and you need something by Thursday, it needs to be really, really, really clear that if it's by Thursday, then, you can turn it around by X, Y, and Z time. I don't like operating myself or our team on very stressful deadlines. I think that's asking for more stress than what you really need in your life. So we really try to build that into the recap as best as possible. And again, in business, things always need to seem like they needed to be done 2 weeks ago, right? So I understand and I respect the urgency, but at the same time, there is a process that we follow to keep and maintain clear communication and the health and sanity of our team.
Which leads me to the third and final, and I'm actually going to give a bonus. I have a bonus in here as well. Even though they are a difficult client, you've had scope creep, bullied, all of the things. In that storm, it is important that you stick to your guns. And I'm going to give you an example. We had informed the client of our offboarding call, and the power play was that we gave a couple of dates that didn't work for them. And so they gave us the dates, and that was the power play. And we're like, nope, these are the dates that we can do. Well, I just can't come. I'm like, okay, well, we're still going to meet and we're going to record your offboarding. And I got to be honest with you, I am not a confrontational person. I would say Cassie really isn't either. And not that we did that in bad faith, but we were offboarding the client. We were closing the Slack channel. And there were even continued to attempts to bully. And so I was happy with the offboarding. The team was so professional, and we were really able to go step by step and hand over then that video. We shared all of that information in the Slack channel, and then we let them know they would have availability to the Slack for XYZ time, and that we were closing it up. Even in the midst of bullying throughout that process, we did stick to our guns. And I think we needed closure as much as maybe they needed closure, but we really did need closure. And I think that we kind of let it sit after we did that offboarding call. And it's amazing how then you can breathe again. Like, you feel lighter, your mindset changes. You can't stay there. You can't stay in that negativity.
Yeah.
You can't stay in that feeling of, maybe you accept it and say, there's no way that we're going to please this client. We are acting as professional as possible. We are delivering what we said and then some. And so you just need to kind of come to terms with that yourself. But definitely, as hard as it is, because I mean, you're the boss, you're making the rules. There is no rule book out there, right? And all clients are different. And I will say the bonus here, and then I'll pull Cass in, is we evaluated that situation. And what did we do right? Where do we have areas of opportunity? And so part of that is we actually changed the clause in our contract, because not only were we being spoken to in not a good way, but our team was as well.
Yeah.
And we will never let that happen. And it is written in the contract now. So Cass, do you want to?
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, language is really, really important to me. And it's important that, we have alignment with the people and companies that we work with. And, we sometimes we say yes to the wrong projects, right? But for us, in reflecting, what was really, really important for us to communicate and anchor, not only in the how we work document, but also in our contract, is our commitment to respecting other people as humans, to communicating, in a kind and professional way. Because we don't run a business where if there is something that has missed an expectation or needs to be fixed, that we do not follow through and fix. Like that is just our standard of commitment and excellence in the way that we operate as human beings and a company. So it was important for us to reflect that, the way that we communicate is going to be in a kind and respectful manner, both to the clients, to us, and to our team. And that just, I think for us to put that in there, it really made our team feel seen and supported and understood. And also reemphasizes, yeah, I understand things may get emotional in life or business, but that doesn't mean that you personally attack or take it out on somebody else.
And I think for that particular client, all the stuff that they got, uh, it helped us to reevaluate our service, even make it even more clear. And then a lot of times when we start working one-on-one with clients, depending on which program it is, or if it's even a one-on-one, we talk about pricing. And a lot of times folks, when they are in the beginning stages of charging a premium rate or a premium price, it's, oh, I don't know if they'll pay that. I don't know. I feel uncomfortable. I understand those stages. And so price step, 100%. That's what we did. But there are also those situations like we had, okay, done. This is our price now. This is what we do. This is what's included. And I'm not going to apologize because what we just went through, I don't want to go through that again. Now, just because we've raised our price doesn't mean that we're going to continue to have like that could still happen. We could still have a nightmare client, right? But it helps you in that evaluation process. I'll never be in that situation again. So, yeah, I think I don't even, today's topic with what we're working on and it being Valentine's Day, I think it's an appropriate topic that we talk about, because I feel like everybody has kind of dealt with a nightmare client, and you don't really hear that. You don't hear people talk about how they've dealt with it, or if they do, it's very short. And hopefully there's some really good takeaways from today's conversation.
Yeah, I think, I'm really proud of the way that we did communicate, that we did, eventually stand our ground, because I am a peacekeeper. Many times in this conversation, with this particular instance, I was literally waving my white flag. I'm like, Rhonda, let's just do it and get done. Let's just do it and get done. Let's just do it and get done. And that's where the gaslighting really was. None of that, let's just do it and get done, was included in what originally was asked for and contracted. And so then it became to our nature to keep the peace, and with quality and satisfaction being our driving forces. But it just came, the boundaries came too late. So now, I think it's helped us really frame the phases and get really, really clear with our clients on the phases of what to expect. We prepare them if things go sideways, if there's any deadlines or any assets that our team may be waiting on them for. And, it's been a much more open communication. I feel that it's really, really clear, that we are 100%, we, even in our phases, we leave this is feedback. This is feedback and adjusting and things like that. So it's not us, blindly building a product and fitting everyone into a box, but it is very clear on the steps and the phases and the time that it takes at each step. So in a way, looking back, it was a blessing for us to get really, really, really granular. Would we choose to go through it again? No, absolutely not. The fact that we're talking about it on Valentine's Day is very humorous to me because sometimes you appreciate the people that you love because of the relationships that you've been through before that totally put you through the ringer. And, emotionally, our work and our clients and the people that we surround ourselves affect us just as much as the people who are in our lives as our loves and our family and our other relationships too. So fun topic, Rhonda.
Even on Valentine's Day. So, guys, if you want to listen to this episode again and take notes, or if you want to listen to any of the episodes that we have here on Go Girl Chat, we have we need to talk about our website. Maybe we'll talk about the website tomorrow. Who
Yeah,
knows what?
that sounds good.
Go to gogirlchat.com and there you can subscribe to the podcast. You'll get notified. I love the app that we use. You'll get notified when a new episode goes live. And there are all kinds of fun goodies. So I alluded to Planner Template Club. That information about Planner Template Club is also on Go Girl Chat, as well as our most popular workshop, which is how to break up with your to-do list. So until tomorrow, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.